3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to Grounds After Rounds.
Good warm up.
Glad you're back.
Glad to be back.
I don't like fist bumps with you. I like fives.
Man, we've already broken our bubble, so. And it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Nobody really, I mean, this is so time lag that nobody really knew I wasn't here.
They knew. They felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They felt that your presence wasn't as strong due to your
my geographic distance. Yeah. So
we felt it.
Quick little weekend trip down to Florida.
But you just called it Ville, right?
What's that?
Jacksonville.
So is Jacksonville, I meant to look it up because as we were driving out, you see the signs and stuff. I was like, I wonder if Jacksonville, if it's is it named after Andrew Jackson? Like his, or is it, I don't know. I didn't Google it, so I don't know. But it would be, I find it interesting if it's named after Andrew Jackson because he was, during his presidency was the March of Tears or Journey of Tears or whatever, the Trail of Tears, where they expelled and basically the genocide against the Seminole Indians out of Florida, and the Supreme Court ruled this is unconstitutional, you can't do it, and he said, "Stop me," and proceeded to do it anyway.
Oh, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so a little aggressive as the executive branch of and it was for European settlers or for either schools or something, they wanted land for people moving, plantation owners, expanding or something. Yeah. Now I've exceeded the level of my ready access to my historical knowledge of it, but I do remember it was criminal what he did as far as our standards of human, or at least our story of what we say. But then you look at some of the patterns that we continue to propagate with our treatment of others.
Now I'm curious, now I just want to know, because did we just go down this rabbit hole for nothing?
For nothing? Is it not named after Andrew Jackson?
Anyway, yeah.
It's certainly not named after me.
You know what's funny too, because my sister lived down there forever.
Wasn't she in Miami though, or was she in Jacksonville?
She was in Jacksonville. And I can never remember. I was like, wait, is it spelled Jackson or is it Jax? Because my sister, she just always said Jax. I'm like, wait, is there an X in it? It's like,
there is no X in it.
Two settlers donated land on the north bank of Cowford to establish a proper town in 1822, and the site was renamed Jacksonville in honor of the territory's first provincial governor, Andrew Jackson, who never set foot in the town but went on to become the 7th U.S. president.
So there you go.
There you go.
All right. So, yeah. So it's an interesting. I'd be curious if they find difficulty in maintaining that name as things come up in our culture and our society of changing, of updating names of things, which is, I don't think there's any problem with that. I mean, look at St. Petersburg was Constantinople, was Istanbul, Constantinople, that's town, that city has changed names a ton of times. Leningrad, St. Petersburg, and then it was something else, right? So countries change their names of cities all the time to reflect honor for those that the culture holds in high regard, but also recognizes when that person they held in high regard came to power on the backs and shoulders of atrocities of others. And you are you're not denying the past, but you have to heal and move past what those past actions were, and sometimes that is in the naming of places and things and the removal of statues, and right, like if we had something here that was openly offensive to 3 or 4 people, but it really meant something to you, would you have a problem taking it down or getting rid of it?
I think it's worth a discussion, but I think if anything, it's worth discussions.
So,
but there's so many different levels of but yeah, like I think the fact that we've been here for 3 years,
Right. It's not that long.
I mean, it's not like
It feels like a long time.
Yeah, it feels like a long time, but it's not like we have these like traditions and roots that have been dug in for
it's even
centuries.
Right. It's even like the named workouts.
Yeah.
The
It's
the girl workouts of.
It's honest. So like with I'll just say with this, like not even that, like the name, the Washington Redskins, like has been removed. And I always knew, like, I was like, yeah, this is a fight. Like, obviously there's a lot of history, like positive history behind the name and the franchise and what it stood for, the Washington Redskins. And obviously there's some warts on that name as well, as there are with everything in the freaking world. But that was one of those things where it's like, if the name changes, like I would never be. I'm not one of those. It's like, oh, this is ridiculous. What do you? It's just it's probably bound to happen,
right?
And you just accept it. And it
well,
doesn't.
I try to take a page out of your book and think, well, like what's more important, the name of this thing or this, this inanimate object, which doesn't have right. The name Washington Redskins doesn't mean anything or matter unless it means and matters to somebody, to another human being. And so if you were to tell me that in calling the team that name, it harms other human beings, well then I'm going to go, well then freaking change it. Like who cares? Like get rid of the thing. Like you're more important.
And I think today, I think there's a lot of people that find things to feel like it's harmful or offensive to them in anything, but this is one that's been going on. It's grown.
Well, it's legit. It's like it's legitimately pejorative. It's legitimately offensive to an entire group of people that are we consider that everyone they themselves of an entire group of our country, of our society. You know what I mean? Like that like it is. And the fact that like people feel a sense of like, well, it's the Washington.
Well, so the counter argument that is, I don't want to go down a political rabbit hole.
If you have to whisper it,
all.
or let me say it, if you have to couch what you're saying is not offensive, well, then guess what?
Well, I don't think I've ever said, sorry if I offend you, but I watched the Washington Redskins game this weekend, and you know what was offensive? The way they played. So that's how that went. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll move on to some. Well,
Yeah.
it's a good transition of like I liked how you said it, where anything that everybody comes to a situation with their reality or their understanding of it, and oftentimes what can stand as like the universalizing or the equalizing element of those different realities or perspectives is language. That if we can define a term and that term then be a shared understanding or agreement, well, now we have a bridge. That's why language is a metaphor, because if you understand something from one perspective and I understand something from a different perspective, but we can at least share an understanding, and it's like a Venn diagram. There's like that intersection of our understanding, but it's not the same thing that you experience, the same thing I experience. Well, then now we have a bridge of understanding.
Sure.
That's metaphor. Metaphors take two disparate things. Love is war, right? Love is not war, but sometimes when you're in a loving relationship, man, it feels like you're fighting a battle. You're coming up against a really entrenched enemy. Like all this language around it. We use war language to describe. Wait a second, are we still talking about love?
Yeah.
And so it's all is fair in love and war, right? It makes us chuckle, and then it goes like, oh yeah, oh, and it helps understand like, wait a second, I'm being very warlike here at the expense of the love. It often highlights like unseen behavior. So anyway, little nerd trip there.
Yeah.
So in CrossFit, we use the word constantly varied functional fitness. Constantly varied, not randomized, not whatever you feel like.
It's not just whatever.
Variance. And variance, this is a conversation that we wanted to have today around Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. So we can take a little time travel back to early last week too,
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you about like where there was consistency or like the same time domains were used, but it was varied within those time domains. And then Thursday was sort of like a little, break. And then
Right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday
Yeah.
were the same movements, significantly varied in their use of those movements. So when we talk about variance, do you want to do the textbook? Do you want to do like sort of Eric's understanding?
I'll do Eric's understanding because my textbook probably.
But that's okay because
super.
I like when you do that because then that lets me cheat and do like pseudo textbook, but it's still just how I understand it.
So in variance, if we're talking about it, is different from being random. Like variance is a very things are different, but they serve a similar purpose. And so by varied, there's a very varied something being varied. There's an intentional process going on. You see things, they look different, but there is a purpose from point A to point B. Whereas random is there's this, and there's this. So the intention in random is for it to be random.
I like that. All right. So I'll go back and we'll talk about the sort of textbook perspective of variance in the CrossFit context. So CrossFit is improved work capacity across broad time and modal domains. I always do the other one first.
What if that's the one question? Like
that it is,
you don't pass your level 3 because
you switched modal and time.
Come on, man. You have no idea what you're talking about.
So within that,
and then they take our affiliation away.
Improved work capacity, the ability to do work across varied times. That's one component of CrossFit, is the improved work capacity. The other is the 10 general physical skills. The other is the hierarchy of athletic development, nutrition, conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, up to sport. And then finally, it is a longevity of health across time. That idea of if there's an arc, sickness on this side, health in the middle, fitness is all the way over here. And the more fit you are, in definition of fitness is your ability to do work, you are healthier and you have a buffer that like one bad day, one bad accident, whatever, isn't going to be the difference between being like, you're just not yet dead or sick, to being sick. So those four components are how CrossFit determines or how it defines this idea of what is fitness on this continuum of health. And variance is how you accomplish general physical preparedness. Variance across time, modality, load. And so those three things.
Can we clarify what modality means?
I will.
Because cool.
So time, easy, short, medium, long. When we talk about short, less than 5 minutes. We talk about medium, somewhere in that 7 to 12 range. We talk about long, anything more than about 18 to 20 minutes. And there's like, well, wait a second, your math didn't work there. There's some like liminal transitions there, that 5 to 7 range and that 12 to 15, 12 to 18 range. Like these are sort of the sweet spots. And you want to vary equally across all of those time domains 3 to 4 times a week, maybe as many as 5 to 6 times a week. You're hitting each of those about equally. Modality, gymnastics, weightlifting, monostructural. Gymnastics is you moving your body around a fixed object. Pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, box jumps. Anything where I'm moving myself around something and kind of coming right back to where I started. Monostructural is what we would traditionally call cardio, running, swimming, biking, jump roping, whatever. I always question jump roping. Is jump roping gymnastics? But it's not, because they don't consider the rope being a fixed thing. But is jumping jacks gymnastics or monostructural?
Right, I would think.
Are air squats gymnastics or monostructural? Like that's, so there's some wiggle room in there. Don't get too upset about it. And then weightlifting, very simple. You're moving a load external to your body through some range of motion, whatever. So that's your modalities: monostructural, gymnastics, weightlifting. And then loads, light, medium, heavy. Light would be where, and this, they define it within the requirement of the metabolic pathways and the metabolic systems, glycolic, anaerobic, or anaerobic, glycolic, or phosphogenic, glycolic, and I think I got those backwards, and then aerobic. But really you can think in time. So like 0 to 10 seconds. A heavy deadlift takes about 4 to 6 seconds.
46 seconds.
Yeah, that would be like a really heavy deadlift. But something legitimately that you are exerting as much effort as humanly possible for you, and it takes about 4 to 6 seconds to lift it, that would be quote unquote a heavy lift. You're able to do maybe like, I don't know, 4 to 5 reps in about under 30 to 35 seconds, because that's where you're transitioning. You're still anaerobic, but it's kind of transitioning more into like semi-aerobic, semi-anaerobic. Aerobic meaning you need oxygen to create energy. Anaerobic meaning you're using stored energy, no oxygen required. And then aerobic is like what we're doing today. 30 clean and jerks. It's a quote unquote lightweight. And then you add a little bit of monostructural in there, and it goes, that's where the time domain, not as much, but like the exertion effort would determine what's considered heavy, what's considered medium, what's considered light. And that's it. So time domain, modality, load. Quite simple. How do you vary those? Well, you can vary them in an infinite number of ways, where couplets and triplets, and then there's another part too. Couplets and triplets, chippers, single modality, like today is kind of a single modality, though I'm cheating and making it a couplet with the row, though some of you did well enough that you were able to.
It was a single modality.
It was a single modality. And somebody could be like, well, it's a clean and a jerk. Correct. Sure. But it's an Olympic lift, and it's, it's one. We couple those into one movement. Yeah. And then finally, 2 types. That was
a good Marita impression, by the way.
Marita, you don't sound anything like that. And then there's 2 types where it's either task priority or time priority. And task priority would be where Tuesdays is task priority, where I'm giving you a set amount of work to accomplish. Your time is the variable. That's the dependent unknown variable. And then time priority is, I'm going to tell you, you have 5 minutes or 3 minutes to do as many clean and jerks as possible. Every time you come off the bar, you got to do 5 burpees or something. And then your score is the task that you completed, but the time was the priority. So task priority, I tell you what to do, and the volume.
You're not done until the work's done.
Exactly. Time priority, you're done when the clock's done. And so from a variance standpoint, and again, this is all, over many, many years of trial and error and, talking about it, Greg Glassman and the original team, really Greg and Kathy Glassman, figured out that if you prioritize task about 65 to 70% of the time, and time 35 to 40% of the time, from across a 9 to 12 day window, that's going to optimize intensity, which means the most work that you're accomplishing in the shortest amount of time. Power over time equals intensity. That's the best mix and match. And if you prioritize that, like about half of your time domain variance is in that 7 to 12 minute range, about a quarter is on the short side, and about a quarter is on the long side. And then from a load, if you load out medium and light, it works to fit that, and then go heavy about every 4 to 5 days. That variance across 3 on, 1 off is the recipe for elite fitness or optimal general physical preparedness. That's variance. And so it's not random in any way, shape, or form. Just
as long as it took you to explain that, should right away click, it's not just we pick these moves, we throw them up on board, and that's what you do that day. There is a process.
And then there's the fun component too, right? You want to you like to mix it up, and that's sort of, I think, a secondary byproduct is sort of if it's fun and people keep coming, then you're probably right. They're continuing to improve. Injury is kept at bay. They start to see the results. They're able to continue to go up in weight, and they feel better. There you go. Those will result in happiness. Happiness results in feelings of accomplishment and purpose. Purpose results in consistency of effort. Consistency of effort loops back around. Oh, I keep getting better. Keep getting better makes me happy. Happy makes me feel purposeful and meaningful. Purposeful and meaningful means I'm going to show up. I'm consistent. It loops back around. It's a positive vicious cycle.
Yeah. The viciousness in the workouts, the positive everything else.
So variance. So as you said, we did snatches on Friday.
So it was the 7 minutes.
It was running and snatches.
Yep.
It was a EMOM every minute on the minute.
100 meter
You had to
sprint.
run a 100-meter sprint. You had to do as many snatches as possible. And your score, time priority. Said it was going to be 7 minutes.
Yep.
Snatches and running.
So monostructural weightlifting.
Great. Saturday, we clean and jerked and ran.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, but we just ran yesterday. I thought this was variance. Oh, it's all right, right? You're running and clean and jerking. But how long did you run on Friday?
100 meters.
100-meter sprint. How long does that take? 25 to 35 seconds. You got about 25 to 30 seconds to lift the weight.
Yeah.
How long was the 400-meter run taking people?
From minute 30, 2 minutes, give or take.
Right. So almost 4 times as long running. What did we say we vary? Time, domain, or time, modality, or load.
Mm-hmm.
So I varied the time.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And then we varied the modality, or not the modality, but the movement within the modality, the clean and jerk. They had significantly more clean and jerks to do, and it was still a lightweight.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit longer, but it was a completely different structure of the workout too, where Friday was time priority. Now we're task priority.
Yep.
And you get to program in that rest.
Yep.
Took what? The workout probably took 25, 30 minutes. Takes 27 and a half. Like it's basically 5 6-minute rounds.
Right.
Because people were taking about 2 to 3 minutes to work.
Right.
3 minutes of rest.
Yep.
With about a 1-to-1.
Yep.
So from a planning, you figure about 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Versus 7 minutes.
So time is longer. We
Right?
increase the load on time.
You got it. Now,
Come back to
Sunday's rest day, mostly, except for those knuckleheads who are doing that summer
Don't worry,
solstice.
we didn't go too heavy on Sunday. I was like, you guys got a long couple days ahead of you. But it was good.
But again, also significantly varied. They're focusing on their technique. They're doing 1 rep max, not even 1 rep maxes, but you know what I mean? So there you go. Now we flash forward Monday, or flashback Monday, snatches again, but this time we go across. It's single modality.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time domain. It's time priority again.
Time priority.
1 minute to do light snatches, 1 minute rest, 1 minute to do medium snatches, 1 minute rest, 1 minute to do heavy snatches. So if we go back to what I said about how much should you do, so in that 1 minute of light snatches, people should have been in somewhere 12 to 18, maybe as many as 20 reps. Minute rest, medium snatches, 8 to 10, maybe 7 to 10, maybe as many as 12. They're doing more than that, then guess what? It's a good litmus test for them. They weren't at a medium weight.
Yeah.
They were still too light. And then same with the heavy one. If they were in like the 6, 7, 8 range, they weren't doing a heavy snatch. They were doing a medium
I think some people surprise themselves because when they're warming up too, they're setting up, like they thought this was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they actually got to it, they're moving through those a little bit faster than they thought.
Right.
And so it's you fail? And
it's the consistency across the 3 times through that cycle.
Yeah.
What they just gave themselves was a legitimate for this, where they are in their fitness, both technique and strength. These are either light, medium, light, medium, heavy. Maybe they went medium, heavy, too heavy. Right. So where that came from, those weights came from the 12.1, open WOD 12.1 and 13.2, where those were the snatch weights for the women and the men that you had to do so the 12.2 workout, 12.2 version was 30 snatches at 75, give guys weights, 30 snatches at 75 was a 7-minute AMRAP.
Right.
No, 10-minute AMRAP. 30 snatches at 75, 30 at 135, 30 at 165, as many as possible at 210. Most athletes, the good chunk of athletes, couldn't get past the second bar.
Mm-hmm.
Another chunk, kind of top, say 15 to 20% in the world, got to the third bar, maybe got a couple reps, 5-10 reps into the third bar. The regionals level athletes got to the 210 bar, the fourth bar, and got maybe like 2 or 3 reps. Because now we're talking, they're in their 90 percentile of their 1 rep max.
Right.
The elite athletes who went to the games and did well were putting up like 15, 20 reps.
Right.
They almost got to 30 again. The women weights, they were less than 66%. There was some weird scaling in there, or weird weight calibration for the women. The women were lighter weights. Some of the women were 30 plus reps at 210. Yeah. Like Julie Fouché flew through those bars during that year. Like that was an Annie Thor's, like amazing to watch them go. 13.2 took those same weights, mashed it together with the 7 minutes of burpees. Right. He did 40 burpees, 30 snatches, 30 burpees, 30 snatches, 20 burpees, 30 snatches, 10 burpees, finish with the fourth bar. Nobody in this gym can lift 210 or 125 or whatever. I forget what the women's weight was. Snatches. So it wasn't even worth.
If we put 2 people on a bar.
Right. It was not even worth like dealing with it. But I used those weights for us as sort of like a benchmark of, I have and I'm not, like, I'm going to use me as sort of the example. I don't know if I have the heaviest snatch right now in the gym, but I can do a 195. 195 is my lifetime 1 rep max PR. Consistently, probably close to like 185, 190. 165 is just over 85% of that.
Yeah.
So that for me was a heavy lift, and I went 4.32.
Nice.
Across the
I was going to ask how you.
Yeah, I was very pleased with that. Back in 12 and 13, I couldn't even lift the 165-pound bar.
Yeah.
And so I was power snatching. So I was very pleased with that as a benchmark for me of where I'm at athletically with that snatch. After doing Friday, which was 75 pounds, I was really happy. FYI, the stimulus there, Randy is a hero wad. It's 75 snatches for time.
At 75. 55.
At 75, 55. So in that workout, a good score, like you picked the right weight, should have been somewhere between 55 to 80 snatches. Somewhere around 7, 8-ish to 12-ish around. More than that, you probably went too light. Less than that, you probably went too heavy. Or we could look at it and say, is your run the issue? You know what I mean? Like, is it injury, something going on, whatever. But that's where like, oh, okay, I see. Because 75-pound snatch, 75 snatches, 75 pounds should be in the 2.5 to 3 minute mark for Randy. That's the sweet spot for that workout. Well, you got 7 rounds. You're working about 25 to 30 seconds. It's about 3.5 minutes of work.
Was that your internal?
I should be doing somewhere around Randy time, or I should be, today's workout or Monday's workout with the snatches should have been putting us in that 80th percentile. That's always that's what we're always shooting for, at 75, 135, 165. And so I was like, sweet. I looked back. I was in like the 60 seconds. I was so pissed off.
How fast was your run?
Oh, I biked.
Or did you bike?
I C2 biked on Friday, and then I echo biked on Saturday with dumbbells down with Maddie. I was brutal. Yeah. And it was like already, I think we did it at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was already 96 degrees outside. 100%
Hello,
humidity.
Florida.
Yeah. So, okay, so then today. How is today varied from Saturdays? Well, first and foremost, so same loads, that's the goal. So same lift, same loads.
Yep.
So what's actually varied? Well, volume. I'm only doing 30 clean and jerks today.
Yeah.
Saturday, you did 75 clean and jerks. There's no run, but it is a monostructural still. It's this row. And it's fast. Like where Saturday was like legitimate, okay, break them up, but always be moving. Rest is your enemy on Saturday. Like you don't want to stand around resting. So you need to move at a pace that lets you just consistently move for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Yeah. Okay, well, that means you probably will not be able to go 15 unbroken past the second or third round.
Right.
So don't do it at the beginning and then bonk in rounds 4 and 5 because you've missed the pacing training element. Yeah. Today, there is no pacing. Today is legitimately like put the pedal down and go as hard as possible for as long as possible because you know you have that row to catch you if necessary. When you're done, we use Mike Batista as an example. He went 95 pounds. He did all 30 unbroken. He hit the end at like 26, 27, 28, and he was having to take a second or two at the hang and then go again. And he said it got to a point where he legitimately in those last 2 or 3 reps, as he was going to his clean, he wasn't
sure it was getting back up.
Probably. And I bet you he actually did it. It left his hands for a while and caught it again or received it and then went back into the jerk.
That's where you start to see that like kind of catch on the hips and pop it up off your hips just so you don't have to pull.
Yeah. But so he can legitimately say, and then the other people who went, and those who didn't go unbroken. Monique is a perfect example. She went a little bit heavier than she wanted to.
Good.
Yeah, I know. And I was more excited for her than I think she was. Yeah. But she went 55 pounds, which is awesome. She did it in 2 sets. That second set of 15, it was sort of I don't know, but she made it. So we can legitimately say 55 pounds for her is a light medium load.
Yeah.
Like she knows, because let's say that workout is that toes to bar and handstand push-ups, right? Or something, or a run, toes to bar and cleans.
Sure. And
it's a 12-minute AMRAP. No way should she be going 15 unbroken.
Yeah.
But 5 unbroken,
for sure.
5 unbroken, like totally doable. And she now knows she's got that line. Mike has that line that 95 pounds in bigger sets, 5, 7s, 8s, is doable.
Very doable.
Exactly. And it's doable and repeatable.
Yeah.
And so that's where just looking at variance as like the workout has to be completely different is not always variance. Variance offers learning around all the different capacities that you have as an athlete, which for some people, they don't give a crap. They want to walk in the door. They want you to tell them what to do, which I appreciate, right? Like that's the relationship.
Yeah.
And they log it so that in the future, if I say to them, hey, go back to such and such date, we did a workout, what weight did you use? And they're like, oh yeah, I got it right here. So their job is to show up, do the work, log the work. They don't have to worry about all the rest of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's our job. But it's fun to also pull back the curtain a little bit and let them see it.
And this is why I explained Sugar WOD in a sense for like, there's a scoreboard on it, but like the scoreboard is there for you to fist bump and high five. I jokingly say, so you can fist your friends after good work. So that's what it is. You just give them a big fist.
Kicking names and taking ass.
Yeah. And
do you know where that's from?
No.
It's Avengers Infinity War when they land on Titan. Yeah. And the Guardians of the Galaxies first come up against.
Oh, is that Drax?
No, it's what's her face?
Mantis.
Mantis.
Yeah.
It's like, we kick names and take ass.
Yeah,
I love her character.
Yeah, Mantis is so good.
He's very strong. Yeah, she's the best.
I need to watch it.
Anyway, sorry.
But I love Sugar WOD. I was actually having a conversation with one of our newer athletes at 615. It's Timothy Stubbs.
Yes.
We just call him T Stubbs or Stubbs.
Nice.
And it says Stubbs on his beautiful red Jeep Gladiator Rubicon.
Ooh.
Like so beautiful. I had to apologize. I'm sorry guys. It is the nicest automobile in the gym.
Oh yeah.
Stumps is Jeep, but it's so cool. Anyway, he I was talking about Sugar WOD. He's like, yeah, I didn't download that. I was like, well, let me tell you why I want you to download it. It's like, I want you to track your stuff. I want to see, we want to see how you progress as you go. Like, there's a lot of good information in there. We do a specific weight. It's good to know you have that weight, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, no, I literally just want to show up, work out, like go home. He goes, I don't want to have to think about the workout. I don't want to know what it is ahead of time. I trust that you guys are going to do what I need to do and make sure I do what I need to do in the class. And then I'll go home and call it. I was like, okay, cool. I gave him my spiel and, I'll take it.
And in all reality, that is a legitimate approach.
Yeah.
Because if he still abides by our 3 values, I guarantee you he will continue to improve.
Yep.
And the numbers won't matter at all, because each workout has a built-in skill, warm-up skill, progression, so that for that moment in that day on that workout, he will maximize his intensity, and his I would say motivation and visible feedback, qualitative and quantitative feedback will be, yeah, I just sleep better. I'm emotionally better.
Yeah.
And what'll be funny is for somebody like that, which is not that sounds bad, for an athlete or for a person who sees worth, now it'll actually be in the absence or the removal and negation of the benefits that he will then realize of having the benefits, in the sense of like, when he's maybe life happens and he's less consistent,
Right.
he'll notice like, yeah, I've been feeling like crap. And I realize it's because I haven't been coming to the gym.
Right.
And so it's always the same thing of like I let my nutrition fall apart a little bit, right? You know, I'm less aware of what I'm eating. And then all of a sudden I have more headaches, or I'm more sluggish when I wake up in the morning. And it's like, oh, right, I'm having those bowls of cereal, or I'm, you know, letting sugar creep back in more than I do. And then you remove it again, and it's like, there's the benefits.
Right.
And so I like that you gave him the spiel. And I also like, this is again, like I always think, well, what would Eric do here? Well, Eric wouldn't, what would Jack do? Jack would try one more time.
Yeah.
Eric goes, hey, cool, man, I gave him a spiel, because it's not about the program or the system. It's about the person.
I mean, if we didn't have anything to track your workout, we just said, hey, just trust us.
Yeah.
Come 3, 4, 5 times a week.
He's already said that that's what he wants.
And that's what he wants. I'm like,
so you listen to him and you go, okay, cool.
I was like, you'll get fitter. And it was like, if you don't, like some people, I don't care if I max my deadlift. Okay, I get it. But I feel like you should know that number. But hey, that's where you want to be. And I'm totally in support of that. So cool. But just be sad, I won't get to fist you.
You won't be able to fist your buddy Stubbs.
Yeah.
So last part of today's, because then we got to get you out of here. It's 9:00 on the dot right now.
Cool. Closing time.
We have this little thing called the CrossFit Games coming up.
CFGs.
And a little different this year. They're going to do the first part online. Athletes will have 2 days in. They still don't actually know.
Did you get your equipment list yet?
You didn't get yours?
I didn't get mine.
I got mine. Oh no.
I got lost in the mail. Weird.
Along with our rent check.
Yikes.
So there's some chatter that the equipment list included stuff, rowers and pinwheel to measure running distance, GHDs, like that kind of stuff. But it didn't include, one thing about the games that's always kind of cool is it's a forum where through the open, regionals, then sanctionals, and then the games was the place where things would show up that they had not tested all year. Like, so odd objects and swimming and things that could only be tested at the games, that was less about like couplets, triplets, and standard CrossFit, because to get to that point, the people had to prove their capacity in the open.
Right.
They had to prove their strength, their capacity, and their variance and their broadness in sectionals / regionals. The games was the place where now is legitimately like those things would be tested, and they would be tested at levels that mere humans, us mere mortals, would have just don't even imagine that we could do it.
Yeah.
But they also tested new, unknown, and unknowable things. The pig flip, that ridiculous like rolling carry thing that they had to carry, sled pushes, the hay bale stuff, obstacle courses, like
slug.
Like all those things that are now, you've never seen it, I've never seen it. We both get about 30 seconds to try it. The theory of CrossFit is GPP, he or she who is most generally physically fit, will be able to adapt to new and unknown challenges faster than the specialist.
Right.
So if I'm a CrossFit specialist, I do lots of barbell work, couplets and triplets, pull-ups, blah, 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 and I have the best Fran, Grace, and Isabel time, but I'm not that strong. You throw something heavy and odd at me, I'm going to crumble like a paper house. And so like that idea, there's complaints that based on the equipment list, the first stage of this open isn't going to be able to be varied enough. I would argue, based on our last 25, 30 minutes of conversation, I'm pretty good at this. Dave Castro and his team are the experts at it.
Yes.
They're the best in the world at it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you sent a dumbbell, a jump rope, and a water jug to those athletes, That guy and his team,
He'll find a way to crush you.
he'll find a way to vary it enough to legitimately be able to say, we have found the 5 fittest men, the 5 fittest women, and they're going to bring them to Carson, or not Carson, to the ranch, to California,
right.
to test them in person. Then with the things that are a little bit odder, maybe, or you can only do in
Otters?
live.
They're using otters?
Yes, otters. Yeah, the FEMA doesn't know about it. Is that no, not FEMA? Who's PETA?
Yeah.
PETA.
Now we're on FEMA's radar. Thanks.
Yes, thanks a lot. So I don't know. What do you? That's my thought on it. As far as like, I think it'll be fine. What I'm most disappointed at is there won't be a live stream.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest thing. Is like we won't get to like watch it like we did Rogue. But I trust in Dave Castro and blindly. So when he throws the stuff out and he says this is the equipment list, and then all of a sudden people start coming up like, well, how are they going to do this? There's no way. You're like the criticisms of the list and how they can really do it. I just kind of chuckle because it's kind of going back to the beginning. It's like people are always going to find something to not be happy with.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's a lot lower stakes.
Well done.
But thank you. But it's like they're always going to find something that's just they're not okay with, or they want to find something to be not okay with, just for the sake of stirring up the pot.
Grr.
And so I'm just like, cool. I'm excited to see what the workouts look like, because I feel like I don't know, they'll be fun to play with, whether it's in programming or just in the gym to play with.
Yeah.
For the sake of playing with. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with. And that's all I am. I'm just excited to see it.
And I think variance is seldom a problem.
No.
Like that becomes, they've been doing it for so long. He's been doing it for so long. He's been doing it so well that almost, it's instinctual.
Yeah.
Which as a programmer, the last 6 months-ish, last year, I've gone away from using the template that they recommend. I spent 5 years only using the template. You go 9 days back, you chart it, you look at your variance across the different, modality times and, distances and loads, and look at all the different movements and stuff. But they actually say it's a theoretical template for programming.
Right.
In the article that talks about it, Glassman says they don't use it. It makes sense. Like it is an art. Like they know what needs to be thing, and maybe they'll measure a little. Or actually, sorry, when they first start coming up with things, they're not measuring. Right. They're going by smell and taste and a little bit like
they know.
I think it needs this. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Now, if they're going to dial it in for programmatic use, maybe then they'll be like, okay, this is the replicatable version of it. And so when I first started, I didn't feel confident enough to be able to kind of go off book and just like dabble with things. But now I do. Like I have 3 or 4 input sources of things. And then I take and look at it like, and I always start with, what do I want the arc of the week to be? I have like an anchor point one of the days. Then there's like a left and right of that day. And then there's sort of like the last, 3 days of the week kind of fill in around that sort of heart. And then it's like, okay, does this flow well? Let me move this, move that, move this. And it becomes like a Tetris game. And those are like the big pieces. Yeah. Those are the big pieces. And then you fill in the holes with the warm-ups, the skill work. And then lastly is like, all right, what's the theme of this week?
Yes.
Though that sometimes reverses. Sometimes it starts like, so next week, starting the 14th, it's themed all open wads from 2010 earlier. So 7, 8, 9, 10, the first 4 years of the open, or the first 4 years of the games. I wanted to try and keep it 7, 8, and 9, but there just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough good ones. There are ones that would be worth doing here. So I dabbled into 10 to even it out. But I figured that's sort of like, first 3 years were in Aromas, and then 10 was the first year they went to big time. And so I figured like, okay, cool, this is sort of like a little homage back to
cool. It's gonna be a fun week.
All right,
all fun weeks. Who are we talking?
Well, I'll go first. My gratitude.
Gratuitous.
Mine, my 2, I have 3 sons. And I love Matthew, but he stayed home because he couldn't come to Florida with this trip because he had soccer and stuff, which is cool. Good choices. He made a good choice. But Josh and Andrew made the trip with us. Big A drove some of the trip down. I drove the whole way up. He was dragging, and so I didn't want him driving on the highway tired, and it worked out fine because there was some pretty bad storms and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, those two passed the 6-hour car ride test. Right, like if you ever trying to figure out, are you going to be able to work with somebody?
With this person?
Yeah, throw them in a car with you for 6 hours, and if you don't kill each other by the end, hey, you got a good shot of being able to make it work.
Yeah.
They crushed it. They are such easy travelers, and they're fun, and they're flexible, and we went down there to visit former midshipman, now lieutenant, still consider her our sponsor daughter, and just a quality FaceTime, just to see her and check in, and you can't fake showing up.
Yeah. And
I will tell you, they got it right. Like, but they were also in the same time like, well, we're in Florida. Can we go to the beach?
Yeah.
Right. Like they were still like, hey, can we do some stuff? And, but then, they knew when not to push it, and they knew when to push it. And they were just awesome travelers. And I at first was like, it's just be easier. I'll go by myself. And then they wanted to come. I'm like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, I hope it doesn't turn into like, Dad, can we? Never, ever did it become that. And they made the trip better.
Cool.
And I was super grateful. And really, it was awesome.
Yeah.
They're awesome. They're freaking awesome dudes. So
I'm glad you think so, being your kids.
Well,
it's a good thing.
Well, I mean, you say that, but at some point, there is your kids become their own people.
Yeah.
And there's no law that says I will always love them because they're my children, and right. But they always be there for them. Yeah. But at some point, you don't have to like your family members, right? They're independent people. You don't have to say there may be family members who will not pass the 6-hour car ride test.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? That's fine. That doesn't make them not your family member.
We already have some family members that haven't passed the 6-hour, wouldn't. They
right?
didn't.
Yeah, and you just know, well, let's not put each other in those.
Sorry, Meg.
Let's not.
I'm just kidding.
That's not family, right? That. Well, I guess it is, but that's a different. Yeah. That sense of they're cool people, and they're really cool dudes, and I was super grateful for them.
So speaking of them, Andrew and I exchanged numbers. I forget why. I think it was he was going to let me know the days when he starts working. He was going to let me know.
He said he texted you the joke.
Oh yeah. What was that one? Yeah.
It was the dots in the window.
That's right. Yeah.
I hate when my neighbor gets changed with his lights on and his windows open. You can always see his wiener.
Yep.
And it's a dog, folks. It's a wiener dog in the window with the lights on in the back.
So in my phone, he saved as Andrew Tenacious.
Yeah.
And then I just thought I can't really pull it up, but there's a picture of that's the picture I saved in there.
It's like Hulk, but not Hulk.
Yeah, I think it is. It's totally the Hulk, but it's I think it's the Smart Hulk or whatever. And
he's got long
but
hair.
He has longer hair, but just the picture is he's a beast, but he's still very chill. And that's totally how I picture Andrew. So that's how I say that picture.
It looks like post deadlift Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. Post deadlift Andrew. A little green, a little swole. Of course, his hair's not that long anymore. Cool. Mine is this week. I'm gonna go to that's probably making a ton of noise on the thing. I'm gonna go Cape Brew.
Oh, nice.
Yesterday.
Good one.
Came to 7 a.m. and she's been coming for a few weeks now, and we were doing the snatches, and I think she went 35-45, and then so she went 35-45. She hasn't snatched a lot, but she went 35-45, and then there were no more plates left to go 55. I was like, I think you should just go 65. And she goes, no, Eric, that's way too heavy. I was like, I don't think it is, because your 35 and 45 look really good. I was like, these are supposed to be heavy. And so she did a couple warming up, and they looked pretty good. They looked heavy, but she moves well. And she goes, all right, I'll give it a try. And so and I just told her, just do one every 20 seconds. Do one, rest, do one about every 20 seconds. That would get you 3 to 4, around. You'll be good to go. And I think in the third round, she went to lift one. and she didn't get it. It was like the first one of the round. She didn't get it. And I think she was contemplating taking the plates off and just going back down. But we made eye contact, and I think it was like all right, I can't take them off. And she finished it. And so I think she ended up getting like 2 in the last round.
Perfect.
But she got anywhere from 2 to 4 every single round. I was just so happy. Like, she just went for it, and she looked good, and she tried it. And I know she was like nervous to do it because it was too heavy. It's a little, especially snatches, can be scary when they feel heavy. And she crushed it. Yeah, she only missed one the entire time. So that's cool. I appreciate her like trusting that, like, I know you can do this, so go for it. And so that was mine. Cape Pro.
It's a good one.
Cool.
It's a good one.
Cool. Awesome.
Hey, speaking of kids, did you hear what the musician, the drummer? Did you hear what the drummer named his twin daughters?
I did.
Anna 1, Anna 2.
Hey, actually, fun fact. I got this from Joanne the other day. Did you know that alligators can grow up to 15 feet?
Really?
Yeah, but most of them only grow 4. And Shelly said this should be a great one.
Yeah.
She said it to you. And she totally blew it when I gave her the chance to like share it
Tell
in
it
class.
in class, yeah.
So a priest, a minister, and a rabbit walk into a bar. The rabbit says, "I think I'm a typo." Yeah.
I heard that one. I've seen that one.
Shelley went to deliverance at a priest, a minister, and a rabbi walked into a bar, and the rabbit said, and I was like, and she started cracking up, right? And everyone's staring at her like,
what?
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
And she's literally like
Rabbit's
rolling over and laughing at herself.
That's her talent of telling jokes is she can't make it through the end because she's laughing so hard at her own jokes.
Like, I think she messed it up because she was already laughing so hard.
It's mirror neurons, right? Like she's infectious in her laughter.
So funny. It was so funny. Like that was her blowing it and then laughing so hard at herself was even funnier than the joke itself.
That's a good one.
So cool.
All right, folks. As we usually do, took it too far. We'll see you on
habitual line steppers.
Yep.